It is one of the biggest issues facing the UK, so many Western countries around the world, which is defence spending. You know, how can you raise it? How can you afford to do it? And can you match your commitments? And that's the issue that the UK is facing right now. So we just had this defence investment plan, but there's all this question about, does it add up? Is it enough? And is there a black hole in the public finances as a result of it? So we're going to go through all of that. There's loads of numbers, confusingly, when it comes to defence, but I'm going to break it down so that hopefully it will be relatively clear. And kind of the biggest thing, the biggest number of all to take notice of is this one. What this is just showing you is the total defence spending in the UK as a percentage of GDP. And this is the one where there's that famous NATO target that the UK wants to get to. So at the moment, or at least when Labour came into office, 2.3% of GDP. And of course, that kind of NATO commitment is 3.5% of GDP. So it's all about getting defence spending up, really quite a lot. And right now, or at least kind of in the latest numbers for which NATO have confirmed, right now it's kind of 2.4%, getting towards kind of 2.5%. And the whole point of the defence investment plan, which we've just heard about, is raising that up so it gets closer and closer to that number, which of course means more defence spending. And this, the defence investment plan, takes it supposedly up to 2.7%. But here's where things get interesting. I'm going to show you what the defence investment spending plan basically actually is, okay? This is showing you total government spending on defence in the UK going out for the next few years. And this is the picture as per the last spending review. So before this new plan, you can see, look, up from 65.5 to 73.5 in a few years' time. Then we got the latest kind of defence investment plan, and this is what it says. So this is the defence investment plan, basically. You've got more money each year. Those are the red bits. Extra spending each year, taking those totals up. And then we also have this total figure for the final year of this Parliament. And the question, of course, is where does that money actually come from? Can it be found? And do the numbers add up? And let's just look at that. So we're going to take all of those red bits, the extra spending, and work out where they come from. The key thing, by the way, of course, is it's all about getting to that 2.7% of GDP. That's the main goal. Keir Starmer wants to be able to say, I've got it to 2.7% of GDP. Some people would argue, actually, even with this extra money, you haven't got there, because maybe it's more like 2.6%, and then you add on intelligence. But even so, that's the point here. And let's just look at the red bits. Look at the red bits, and in total, over that period of kind of 4 years, you're talking about extra spending of £15 billion. Now, that's the first kind of big question mark we have here. Is it really an extra £15 billion? Because if you break it down, so that's the total cost, actually quite a lot of it, getting kind of 3.4 billion or so, that comes through asset sales, maybe that's kind of fair enough, but also this treasury guarantee. So there's a guarantee for funding of Ukraine that previously defence had to finance, and now the treasury is taking that on board. Theoretically, that's extra money, but in practice, some people would say, well, is that really extra money? Even so, that kind of gets you some of the way up there. Then you've got extra spending cuts, and this is the bulk of that, kind of how you finance it. Departmental spending cuts across Whitehall, £4 billion, gets you some of the way. You've got extra spending cuts from transport and from DESNZ, so the Department for Energy Security, Net Zero. That takes you up there, and you're there. £10.3 billion, and well, you've probably noticed it, haven't you? That's the total 15 billion. That's the actual money. There's a gap, isn't there? And this is the black hole that people are talking about right now. The black hole between that and that over the next 4 years comes to £4.7 billion. And of course, for Andy Burnham coming in as Prime Minister, he's looking at that and going, God, I've got to try and do something about that. And actually, you have to do something about it, not just off in the future, but basically immediately. And the reason for that, if we just take this kind of black hole and break it down by the years in which you need to get that extra money, look at this. The bulk of it, £1.8 billion, needs to be found in this fiscal year. In this fiscal year. So immediately you need to find quite a lot of money, and then more money in the next years as well on top of that. So that's tough, and you can see why the Burnham campaign is not particularly happy. The defence, establishment is a bit concerned about this because they think maybe they could have more money and maybe you're not actually getting up to 2.7%. And then on top of that, everyone's kind of unhappy. On top of that, the Treasury's unhappy as well because they're looking at all of their plans for growth, all of this investment that they're spending, and they're thinking to themselves, well, some of that investment was going to go on things like roads, some of it was going to go on infrastructure. Now we have to move that across to defence. And they kind of look at the bang for buck that you tend to get from defence and think to themselves, well, if you're investing £1 in defence, might you be better off, if you're just concerned with growth, might you be better off putting that money somewhere else? And what this is showing you is just an illustration, and these are contested numbers, it's worth saying, because it's really hard to work this out for sure, but showing you that when it comes to money into various different parts of public spending, around the OECD, so the rich world, defence kind of does give you some bang for buck. But actually other things like health, public services, education, you get much more money back if you invest that money there. So if you're thinking about the goal of the government being about generating growth and prosperity across the UK, some people, particularly in the Treasury, would argue, well, why are we moving money that was spent around here into that instead? So basically everyone's unhappy about this. But you get up to maybe around 2.7%. Like I say, slightly contested, but 2.7%. But here's the thing, you've still got quite a gap to fill here, haven't you, on top of that? If the UK is going to hit that NATO commitment, that target of 3.5%, it says that, and this is Keir Starmer saying that we will get to 3% by the next Parliament, and also saying that, honestly, by 2035 we will get to 3.5%. By the way, I said there are loads of numbers that are slightly confusing. One extra confusing thing, if you've been following this, is you might have heard about the 3.5% target. You might have heard also a lot of people saying, it's 5% defence spending. Is that right as well? Well, the difference between the two is that 5% target, which some people have talked about a bit, that 5% NATO commitment is kind of the same thing, but then they also lump in a load of other security spending. So things like kind of power stations, energy security as well. Even so, when you're thinking about the big picture here for the UK, this is the chart that I think really kind of illustrates it. This is showing you over time how our spending on defence has kind of gone down and down and down, and spending on health has gone up in that period. And before this defence investment plan, it was going up. Now, after this defence investment plan, well, it's going up. It's a bit more than it was before. But the gap between that and where we need to get if we're going to genuinely get up to 3.5% of GDP is enormous. It's far bigger than any of the stuff we're talking about at the moment. Just to give you an illustration of that, the distance between here and there is getting on for £24 billion in today's money. And again, to put that into perspective, that is equivalent to about 3.5p on the basic rate of income tax. So for everyone, massive, massive tax increase just to fund that increase in defence, and we haven't even begun to talk about that yet. All of which is why all of this issue about defence spending, it's not going away. We're going to be talking about this for a long time.